You're listening to Scale Right Revolution, the show to follow if you're a high-achieving founder, business owner, or entrepreneur running a 7 to 8 figure company and you're ready to create your next level vision and make a bigger impact without missing out on life. I'm Tori Boats, an award-winning serial entrepreneur and the creator of an unconventional strategic advisory company where our mission is to help you revolutionize how you scale and pursue your most ambitious goals yet, while feeling lit up in your business every day. You deserve to live a fulfilling, wealthy life, balanced with family, friends, rest, and joy. So let's dive in. And before we do, hit that follow or subscribe button. Happiness isn't a prize in the bottom of a box. Guys, it's not like Cracker Jacks where you're digging through the box, or cereal where you're digging through the box to find happiness. It's the process you enjoy along the way. If you're waiting to earn your happiness after you've gotten the success that you want, and usually that looks like buying something that makes you happy. Yes, we can buy things and it makes us happy. Yes, we can go on adventures or go on vacations and it makes us happy. But there is no reason to wait until those pinnacle moments or until your checklist is checked off to feel happy. And I have news for you. If you wait to feel happy until you get to your goal, you're going to have forgotten what it feels like to be happy, and you're not going to recognize it at the end. Today, you'll learn how to put a halt to those vicious cycles that earning happiness creates. That's right, I said earning happiness, and you may not even think that you're doing it. Why paying attention to your happiness is a gateway to the exponential growth of your company and career. That's right, for all my entrepreneurs and business owners, you are in a career even if you are the owner. So we're going to think differently about that. Use happiness as that gateway to open up our creativity for exponential growth. And listen up, for all my high achievers out there, you'll also learn how to prioritize happiness without sacrificing your ambition. So you never feel like you have to choose between making money or being happy again. You're a whole person, and it's all gotta flow. Welcome to the Make Money and Be Happy series, where I'm sharing how you can have both a rich and happy life while you make serious money doing work you love without starting over from scratch, giving up on your ambition, or relying on luck to be in the right place at the right time. I hope to make you stop and say, wait a minute, I don't have to do life or business this way anymore. I have the power to change, to rethink the next phase, to move around the obstacles and do things my way. This series will challenge your thinking in a good way to get you aligned with the work you can obsess over that fits into your picture of happiness and that energizes you too. And dare I say that you'll love it? Here we go. In episode 1 of this series, titled How Suffering for Your Success Leads to Failure, we talked about the false belief that you can't make money and do work you love. The focus was on the work you choose to do, the business you choose to own and operate. And we dispel that belief as untrue. You don't have to suffer for your success. In this episode, we're going back to a more fundamental part of happiness, the daily actions, because happiness is something you cultivate along the way. Happiness isn't a prize at the bottom of the box. You don't have to wait to be happy. You don't have to dig through all the things that you've accomplished as if it's the cereal or the Cracker Jacks in the box. So where did this come from? I got to the end of this huge goal way early in life. My goal? To become a C-level leader of a multi-million-dollar company. I'd completed my professional goals in my 20s. And I had kids in my early 30s while I continued to build my business. And pretty soon I looked around and I hated where I ended up. I thought I'd be happy at this destination. I had everything on my childhood wish list. The 2-story house, the beautiful land, 3 scrumptious little babies, investments, spending from overflow. Oh, and I ran the show at work. Despite all that, I was miserable in my job. Let me know if this feels familiar for you. I felt overworked and underappreciated. And the crazy thing is, I was the owner. Talk about an inability to just up and change jobs. I also wasn't able to enjoy this beautiful, lucrative life I'd built. You might say that I certainly didn't find happiness as a prize in the bottom of that box. Ultimately, I really wanted to be happy. Here I was, a stellar success at a young age, and I wasn't happy. So let me make this real for you. I could see and hear the laughter of my children, yet I couldn't feel the joy for myself. I remember one day, my kids were playing in the background, and I was sitting on the swing, kind of mopey. Just not really swinging because it was fun and thrilled me, but hanging out there, this lump on a swing. And my kids' laughter filled me. I could feel it. But then I realized it was really intangible. It was like I was on the other side of this thick glass, and I couldn't get through it no matter how hard I pushed. Though I yearned to be happier, I could only fake a smile and feel hollow inside. So as I shifted to looking for my next goal, which is something that you do as an ambitious go-getter, I bet you're familiar with that all too well, I started to notice that this quest for what's next and what am I meant to be doing? What's the next goal to get excited about, hunker down and achieve? That's what I was craving. I was getting nowhere. And then I developed this all too familiar habit. It looks like workaholism, but it's got an acidic poison that eats away at you. It's this earn it versus deserve it mentality. Let me share this story of the frivolous goals. If someone were to ask you if you deserve to be happy, I'd bet you say yes. I used to say yes too. Of course I deserve to be happy. Then one day I noticed that I wouldn't let myself rest or enjoy a hobby until I finished solving the problem or completed my task list. And we all know the trap in that, right? When is a to-do list ever done? This is what was happening. While I believed I deserved happiness, I wasn't living that way. The reality I was living was that I was making myself earn my happiness by putting off everything but work and holding off everything else that was important to me for after. After I solved the puzzle, after I had the answer. And the worst part is, I was asking an unsolvable question, a philosophical question that isn't supposed to have the answer. But I didn't know that at the time. This, which path do I take in order to be happy? What do I do next? What am I meant to be doing? What's my purpose? What will bring me joy? Wasn't solvable in the current state of mind that I was in. And I don't know if we're ever really truly meant to say what that is, what's my purpose, until we're actually living in it. Imagine working all day, coming home to take care of a house full of kids and pets, putting 3 kids to bed, and finally having time to work. Do more work. Oof. And imagine if that problem you're solving is so complex, it would be silly to think that it would only take a few extra hours here and there after the kids went to bed to solve. So what? We get no TV? No yoga? Or enjoying an ice cream date we're on with the kids? Or even just zoning out until all that work is finished. Then, when you're so exhausted from working all the time, when you finally say enough, you end up sleeping all your time away to catch up, leaving you feeling even more exhausted and depleted. And the cycle continues in a downward spiral. That's a surefire way to burn out. And if that's you, you're robbing yourself of the opportunity to have aha moments, like I was, to generate the novel ideas for those breakthrough moments, You need it. You need time to recharge, but you have no time. No time to get your energy back, no time for creativity, no opportunity to experience different things so your brain can connect a new pattern. Stop and smell the roses. Never worked for me. Who wants to stop? I was in a hurry. I had this pilot light of drive deep within the very essence of who I was, driving me to action. And I loved, and I still love, that goal crusher part of me. But here's what I learned along the way that can help you. It's a different take on stop and smell the roses. And it's what turned things around for me so that I could finally figure out, how was I going to navigate this next part of my journey? How was I going to make this decision that was so crucial to everything in my future? I no longer wanted to trust that my happiness would somehow be through vicarious living of others. I used to watch people being happy, feeling happy, doing work they loved, and I craved to be like them, but something inside me just wouldn't let me. I couldn't figure it out. It was this puzzle, this unsolvable puzzle. And I knew the answer deep within. And that's the scariest part. I knew the answer. I knew the change it would take, but I was too chicken to make it. Why? Because my entire livelihood was resting on the life I'd already built, the work I was already familiar with, the company I had already built. I didn't want to start over again from scratch. I didn't want to go back in time and suffer and eat ramen and live in my car or live under a bridge or feel like I was homeless. That was the big fear in my brain, is if I change course, change direction, I may not be successful. And what does not being successful look like for me? How does it feel? I already went through it on the podcast before, where I was afraid that not only would my kids be whining that they had to live in a station wagon. I don't even own a station wagon, but for some reason it was in my brain as the part of this, oh gosh, I would say this part of this dream, but it's not a dream. It's like a nightmare. And I would worry about where they would take showers. How would I get them clean? Which is a bizarre thing to be thinking about when you're homeless, basically. Anyway, I found ways to shift my thinking, to shift my mentality to deserving happiness, and to have that live alongside this endless pursuit from my ambition, which I also love. I made room for both, and so can you. And it doesn't take burning it all down in order to do it, which is the beauty of learning to feel happiness where you are right now, and then learning to look at the problems you're trying to solve in a whole new way. Here are 6 ways you can think differently about how you do business. Number 1, prioritize happiness without sacrificing your ambition. I used to feel that I'd be lazy if I chose work that feels good. I would imagine that if I chose to take it easy, meaning taking it easy at work, that I would imagine myself standing at the skate park with a skateboard in my hand. And all the kids, okay, not all the kids, I'm making a stereotype here, but the stereotype of the skate park is kids are smoking dope and they're hanging out all day with their friends and they're not being productive citizens. Now, this is probably not the actual reality of all skate parks, but in my mind, that's what I imagined. I'd be one of those kids that was not being productive and just standing there. And I felt lazy, and it felt really scary because that's not who I am. And I didn't want anyone else to see me that way. I thought if I learn how to have flexibility in my schedule and I learn how to chase work that excites me and feels a little frivolous to me, that I would be seen as lazy and that I would see myself as lazy. Also, this whole concept of ease versus easy. There's ease to the way you can go about the way that you work. And that is such a wonderful, beautiful place to be, this calm peace that you have in the decisions that you make in the way that you approach your work, in the way you work through your to-do list. You can have ease in that. You don't have to make everything so hard. But I didn't understand that word. I thought ease meant easy. And I thought easy meant lazy, or easy meant too good to be true, or easy somehow meant I wasn't living up to my full potential. So in that moment, I wasn't prioritizing my happiness because I was pushing, making everything so hard and complex. Then there's this whole quote that your whole life's a journey and you're supposed to enjoy it, right? But that didn't matter to me. Only the outcome mattered. So how do you turn that around? And that's this whole concept of prioritizing your happiness without sacrificing your ambition. It's about having both. It's about realizing, what does it mean that life's a journey? What does it mean to enjoy every bit of it? I enjoyed the achievement of a goal so much. I yearned for that. And that's all that became, that's all that mattered. It's all that was in view. Instead, think about it differently. How can you fit both of those things in? So number 2, happiness isn't a prize at the bottom of the box. It's a process you enjoy along the way. I started this whole episode with that as the beginning, as the thought to put in your brain. As you discern the way you go through life, are you earning happiness or deserving it? So what I learned is that if you don't know how to feel happy on your way to your goals, you'll end up getting to where you want to go. The goal crusher in you will see to that goal achievement. But you'll look around and you might just hate where you've ended up. You might get to the top of that mountain and look around and realize you don't like this mountain. And now what? You got to climb all the way back down this mountain that you worked so hard to climb? And then you've got to pick another mountain? So imagine you're staring across the peaks of the Rocky Mountains, or whichever mountains are near you, and you're looking for the peak you want to go to next, and you can't figure it out. And then you're staring at the daunting path of having to climb that mountain all over again. What? No, thank you. So that isn't actually what happens. I like to build bridges to those next peaks, or a hang glider to the next peaks. And sometimes I like to take that easy path up the mountain when I'm feeling that I need a bit of a mental break. And sometimes I like to climb that sheer face with my, what do you call those things you stab into the ice? Those ice picks. Have you seen that on TV? Like, what? Sometimes I used to feel like that was every day. Throwing those ice picks into that iceberg, that sheer mountain face as I climbed and worked so hard to get to the top. And you're going to tell me that I have to do it again? Plus, you won't recognize how to feel happy because happiness is something that you cultivate along the way. You won't remember what makes you happy. Have you ever tried to make a list of work that makes you happy? You toil over the list, staring at the blank page, willing things to get onto it. You'll stare at it for hours. You'll come back to it a little bit over the next week or 2 weeks, only to come up with nothing on your list. That happened to me. I couldn't find anything I wanted to do in the next, do over my future. How was I going to figure out what makes me happy as work when I didn't even have a basis? I had lost it. And it was so unfamiliar to me because I was on cruise control. No, cruise control is not the right word. It's like the goal crusher in me was driving and speeding at top speed, 140 miles an hour, or whatever your top speed is. And I couldn't slow down, but I also couldn't think and make decisions about the direction I was going. I was going so fast, I was just moving. This automotor. And no matter how many job changes you go through, because I went back and counted, I'd gone through 8 different transformations of what I did, the jobs I was in, the roles I was playing. And it turns out that I was chasing happiness. or the next exciting thing. But if you do that, no matter how many changes you make, you'll never find it for long because you'll bring the same deeply rooted issues with you. It's only a matter of time until you can no longer outrun it. You need to set your intent on how you want to feel and let that drive the choices that you're willing to look at and the decisions that you make. Remember, I said just a bit ago that I knew the answer, I knew the choice, I knew the change that I needed to make. And I was too afraid to face it because I didn't like the drastic, dramatic change, it's not even a ripple effect, the disruption in my life that type of change, a complete 180 pivot from what I was doing in the business I owned, I couldn't stomach that. I wasn't prepared for that kind of risk, that kind of change. But I was so blinded that was the only way forward if I was to be doing work that made me happy, that I wasn't able, it's not that I wouldn't consider it, it's that I wasn't able to consider any other ways forward. And that's because I wasn't putting the right criteria up front in the decision-making process. That intent on how you want to feel and all the benefits from that's the goal. That's the goal. That's when you know you deserve to be happy because you're living in happiness right now, and happiness is the goal. Yes, we have other parts to our goals. It's not only to be happy because as I said before, I have this drive inside of me. I have this wish to make money and to live a lucrative life and to actually enjoy it right now, not wait until retirement. Those are all part of that goal. But before, money was the only thing I looked at. Happiness was nowhere in that equation. And I had this belief that they didn't go together. I wasn't allowed to have both at the same time. And that's where the frivolous goals came in. So are you doing that? Do you have a belief that's so deeply rooted that you think it's true and it's holding you back from what you deserve to feel and live and enjoy along the way? Number 3, slow down to speed up. Now there's a whole episode, number 3, on slowing down to speed up. But here's where it comes into play in this particular scenario. The answer isn't job hopping to rekindle that spark of joy. The path runs out. And the slow isn't the planning process, the business plan, the path to ROI. It's really in allowing yourself to get really grounded in the life you want to live now. How do you want to feel now along the way? And what is the environment you want to create? What's the environment you want to work in? That, to me, is freedom with my time, freedom with my money, freedom with my location. I desire all of those things as I design my lifestyle through the business I'm creating. That is the cornerstone to the decisions I make about how I build and run my company. And it drives me to be intentional with my actions. So I may be slow in hiring because I want to hire the right talent that fits the culture I want to build, not just snagging the next fish that has the technical skills. I allow myself to wait for the right fish to come along. And it's less like fishing at that point, and it's more like an intricate dance. I'm no longer feeling the scarcity of, what if I never find this unicorn that has these magical skills? Instead, I'm being discerning and I'm being on purpose about why I'm hiring someone and what's truly important to building the company that I want to work and be in, the environment that I want for my staff, the type of culture and experience I want for my customers. And sometimes you have to take your time with the hiring. I want to give myself that slow part of the process because in the end, I'm going to speed up. Why? Because I won't have personnel issues. I won't have to fire them and retrain the next person and go through 5 people or stick with someone I hired originally because I don't believe a different person, a better person, a more fit person for my organization is out there. So I'm stuck with this person that I'm not truly liking having in my company. And That's part of the issue. If you're building a company you don't enjoy, is it the people you're bringing in? Is it the path you've chosen because it was the quick path? Or have you allowed yourself to be in alignment with your bigger ultimate vision and goal? Time is relative. We are and we aren't running out at the same time. So when you slow down to speed up, we're looking long-term, long range. So time in that space isn't about reaching your goals at a slower pace. It's being purposeful in the actions that you take. Number 4 is creativity. Now, creativity is linked to rest. Imagine that you're going so fast. You're like in a pressure cooker and the water underneath is boiling. And that is the rapid pace that you're on. And you're in such a hurry to get to the final result, to get to the next place or the milestone, that there's all this pressure and no time for rest. Where's your creativity? You see, creativity needs space to come in. And solving hard problems needs creativity. So if you're trying to solve these problems, yet you're not giving yourself the space for your brain to go to work, then what kind of work are you doing? Are you doing your best work? I don't know about you, but my best work is when I feel energized and in flow, and that involves creativity. I know when I'm solving a hard problem or I'm trying to come up with a novel way to break through to the other side, I can't do that if my creativity is off. And when you're forcing yourself to find a solution, that force, that constant toil over the answer, isn't what brings you to the answer. I ended up with mediocre results because I was copycatting what I saw other people doing in their business. Now, there's nothing wrong with using other people's businesses as a model, but that is wrong when you're doing it without thinking about why you're doing it and what the ultimate result of that is in whole for your business and your life. And when your creativity isn't allowed to bring you new ideas, or you don't have the space to even turn that on, then you're not going to get to your best. Your company won't be what it could be. Each of us is unique. Each of our experiences plays into giving us feedback for what we want to create. Some people say that there are no new ideas. All the ideas are already thought of or done before. We're just reinventing them. And that may be true. I don't know. I like to believe that I have new ideas all the time. And maybe it's just recognizing patterns somewhere outside of your industry that you can bring in. What if you're allowing yourself to have fun with a creative pursuit or an energizing pursuit? Let's say it's not even a creative pursuit, like throwing pottery on the wheel. Let's say you're out playing soccer, a pickup soccer game, and you allow yourself to have a bit of fun during that soccer game and meet the people you're playing with. Like actually have human-to-human connection and conversation around something that doesn't have anything to do with work. And let's say all of a sudden you're at work feeling refreshed and bam, an idea comes forward from a conversation you had playing soccer. That's that frivolous goal space, allowing yourself to have other experiences even when you're trying to solve a hard problem. Your brain can put those connections together. That's the creativity. That's the spark. That's the allowing of yourself to not constantly be trying to solve the problem in all the time that you can eke out through your day. And I know you're doing it because I was doing it. When my kids were in the car, I was thinking of the problem. When my kids were taking gymnastics class, I was trying to solve my problem. As I was having conversations with people, I was purposefully looking for a pattern, a gap in the market that I could fill in all conversations, even benign conversations. So I wasn't truly present. I wasn't enjoying the experience. And guess what? Zero new ideas. Zero new ideas because the pressure was there. That creativity is linked to rest. It's linked to interest, curiosity, wonder. And you can't have any of that when you're so pressured on finding an answer, on being ambitious, on solving the problem, on crossing off the to-do list tasks just for the sake of, I got to get all this stuff done. Do you? What happens if you don't? So let's look at rest, fun, relaxation, creativity. I say creativity. This is all in the guise of creativity, hobbies, non-work, meaningful pursuits. Let's look at them as a work justification for your brain. What? I was so against doing anything outside of work until I reached a specific result or answer that even rest, even play wasn't allowed. How crazy is that? So realizing that creativity is vital can help you, hopefully, take that brain break that you need and justify it as work. Number 5, can we talk about guilt for a moment? You deserve to be happy without guilt. I used to feel guilty if I was allowing myself to enjoy a frivolous goal before I had the solution to my problem. Now, this problem was huge. It was, which path do I take next in my life? Do I shut my business down? Do I pivot? Do I continue on the road to expansion? And if so, do I take path A or B? This was a huge problem I was trying to tackle, and I wasn't allowing myself any fun in the meantime because it was such a pivotal moment in my life. That's where I didn't have that creativity we spoke about, but I also felt really guilty. And people around me also loaded on the guilt. How can you do that when you don't have our future figured out? Like, what? And my frivolous goal, let me tell you about what it is. It was at that moment, I want to get a back bend. I want to do a full wheel pose with the flexibility in my shoulders. It was something I used to be able to do, but I stopped being flexible. I stopped working on that. And I desperately wanted to be able to do a back bend. I don't know why. I don't know what was pushing me in that direction, but it was part of this yoga journey I was on, I guess, even though it wasn't a pose we were doing in my yoga class. But it was definitely something that I wanted to achieve. And I was working on the flexibility drills or exercises that I needed to do, the poses in yoga that I needed to do to open up my chest and to open up my shoulders and to increase the strength in my abdomen and all the things you need in order to do a wheel pose. I was even working on the push-ups so that I had the strength in my arms. And all of a sudden, when I would work on basic things like my health and fitness, I felt guilty, extremely guilty. And that would send me into an even worse downward spiral. You deserve to make happiness a priority. And for me at that time, the frivolous goal was happiness. It was just an escape. And it was another goal to pursue that I felt capable of, that I had a plan for how to execute it. But I didn't believe that I could make that a priority. And finally, you deserve to be happy. That was a message that I didn't know at the time I needed to hear. So if you find that you believe you deserve to be happy, but you're not living that way, you're not making happiness and things that make you happy a priority in your life, if you're sacrificing all those little fun things for the short-term goal, and that sacrifice becomes your new normal, becomes a habit, it becomes just something you don't even realize you're doing anymore, I invite you to remember and to say, I deserve to be happy. I get to be happy. I get to make the choice that makes me happy. And I don't have to feel guilty about it. Number 6, exponential growth. It's really about moving purposefully toward the right goal. It's really looking at this false belief that, is it true that happiness doesn't equal money? Is it true that work that makes you happy doesn't equal money because it's a hobby? I was told that. I was literally told that. Honey, if work were meant to be fun, it would be called a hobby. Work is what you do to pay the bills. Work is how you afford hobbies. Oh man, that messed me up forever, for decades, till well into my 40s. Exponential growth, I didn't realize it was on the other side of picking something that made me happy. Why? Because that's where I flourish. That's where my creativity comes alive. That's where my interest and my wonder and everything I have in my being aligns to solving that type of problem without the pressure. Why? Because it's fun. Because I enjoy it. That enlivens my brain. All the little electrical movements and circuitry going at once. That's where the ideas come from. That's where the motivation and the drive comes from for thinking about what I can do next for actually reaching my potential. And when you think about exponential growth and you don't have energy, you're drained and exhausted, are you likely to put more on your plate? Are you likely to believe that big audacious goal isn't really possible because you can't see how you would get it done? Or if you change your thinking and use exponential thinking instead, which is episode number 1, incremental thinking won't get you exponential growth. If you allow yourself to open up and to pursue something you're really actually interested in and excited by, just think of all the ideas you're willing to have. So that false belief that happiness doesn't equal money is false. Let it be false. Let yourself believe something different. Try this on for size. I used to call it the lie I told my kids because I didn't used to believe it, but I wanted my kids to believe it so desperately that I drilled it into them in any way that I could. You can do what makes you happy and still make money. Another version, you can do work that your heart pulls you toward and money will find you. Whatever variation you want to use. And to add to that, for the belief to seat in me, for it to become concrete, I had to add, and trust that you are capable of being successful in no matter what you choose. Trust that your success comes with you everywhere you go. You've been successful in things that you've never done before, and you've been successful achieving things that did not have a pre-laid out 1 through 10 step process. So if you don't know how to get to your goal, if you don't know what the path looks like, if you don't have a model of the business you want to create, and people are telling you to go create your own path, you can. You could absolutely create your own path. You've done it before. You just have to take that step. And if you're thinking, this is another one of those non-exponential growth thoughts, that you have to be lucky, or you have to be chosen, or to be one of the lucky few who gets found. And then because of that, you don't even let yourself do the work. What? If you find yourself in that position, allow yourself to take a step. Allow yourself to do the work. Allow yourself to just see what's possible, and allow yourself to believe that you get to make your own. I guess it would be the same as creating your own stage. You get to make your own reality happen. And that sounds so ridiculous. I know. What? I don't make my own reality happen. Reality is reality. But no, if you don't even try to do something, it will never be a reality. It will never happen. And sometimes it can feel really risky to take a risk. But if you can create your own stage, if you can figure out how to make the thing you want to do happen for yourself without anybody else's permission, you're taking that step. And a step can be a daydream, a vision in your mind that you play with, and then you take action on. And that one little action will lead you to the next action. And pretty soon you look back and you're like, oh, look, I've created a path. I didn't know that that's what the path would look like. So it's about allowing yourself to do the work instead of believing that you have to be lucky first. You get to make happiness a priority, and happiness and making money is not an either or choice. So there's the 6 ways to think differently about how you do business. Remember, happiness is not a prize at the bottom of the box. It's a process you enjoy along the way. So let's look at a practical side of creating this happiness of pursuit. I've got 3 simple steps. So number 1 is mindfulness. Noticing the little things that pattern interrupt. Is the flowers, the breeze, the sun. Just taking that moment to appreciate what you're noticing in front of you can take your mind out of the constant need to go, 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 go. It creates that bit of space for your brain to breathe. Okay, your brain doesn't breathe, but you know what I mean. To give it that moment's pause, to empty out from all the thinking, even the negative thoughts, just to notice what's in front of you and appreciate the beauty of it. Appreciate how glorious that crisp breeze feels on your face. To appreciate the warmth on your skin from the sun. To appreciate even the clouds of a cloudy day, how cozy that can make you feel, or how enlivened you are by the thought of rain coming. What's the crisp outline of a flower petal or the dancing butterfly that you see? That's that break for your mind. And it's so simple to do. You can even do it just for a minute. And it's not about stop to smell the roses, which feels like a consequence that they tell high achievers who are on the go. Instead, it's giving yourself that nourishing break for your creativity to come alive. Number 2, make a ritual for closing down work. This was huge for me because I would have my to-do list open and all the things I didn't finish for the day would be open-ended in my mind. So when I was playing with my kids, I wasn't really fully enjoying the time with them. I was trying to keep track of all the balls I had in the air that I needed to get back to at the end of the night. And why did I need to keep track of all those balls? Because I knew if I didn't remember the 5 things I needed to knock out really quickly, it would take me a longer time to ramp up. And I didn't want a long time to ramp up because I wanted to finish work. And if I was working at night, I wanted to get done as quickly as possible. So is that what you're doing? If you're coming back to work at night, are you allowing your mind to fully rest, relax, and experience that time in between? I'm not saying it's bad to work at night. I'm not saying that there's never a time you should ever do that. There might be a time where you want to turn on the speed in your business, to finish something out, to close it out. You might want to do that, and that's okay. It's how you go about it. And you may not want to do that. You may feel compelled to work at night after your kids go to bed. You might feel guilty if you didn't, because you have so much on your list and you owe it to yourself, to your people, to your business partners, to your team to get it done. And you feel guilty that you just didn't have it in you to keep doing it night after night after night. By making a ritual to close down your work, you're giving yourself 5 minutes to just write where you are, to if you plan to work that evening, what's the one thing you want to do that evening? Instead of, I want to finish my entire to-do list of 20 things, let's be realistic. Or it's just closing down for the day to allow your mind to switch gears and to tell your mind, hey, we're going to stop now. We're going to concentrate on something else. So here's what worked for me in that ritual, because I used to run up to the clock, up to the minute where I was almost late for picking my kids up from daycare almost every single day. I mean, the stress of hurrying in panic that I would make it before they charged me $5 a minute or $20 a minute. I don't remember, but it was outrageous. It was probably $20 a minute. That stress, I didn't need additional stress in my life. I was already running to the last minute of my day. Don't do that. Give yourself a buffer. That buffer can be so short. It can even be, if you forget to give yourself those 5 minutes, you get to daycare, you pick up your kids, and you're like, kids, I need 1 second. Greet them, of course, because they're going to be excited to see you, and jot it down. Just make a 3-bullet list. I'm closing my day. Here it is. If you're so pushing the time that you haven't figured out how to give yourself that cushion, it's okay. Where else can you squeak it in? Or maybe it's when you get home. You get your kids from daycare or school, you get home, everybody settles in. As you're changing your clothes, as you're up in your closet, getting out of your work clothes, assuming that that's what you do still, and into the next outfit, the comfy clothes of home, or into your workout clothes, or whatever you're changing into, write it down. Just make yourself a tiny little list. Give your brain that moment to stop and to say, I'm done with work. That breath out. Okay, I'm ready to switch gears. I also like to plan fun things because then I can look forward to those fun things. Now, a key here is if you have fun things planned in your schedule and you're not looking forward to them, you're dreading doing them because they're interrupting the work that you need to so desperately get done. Woo, that's a tell right there that you're headed towards burnout city. Stop. Pump the brakes. Reevaluate how you're getting your work done. Reevaluate if you're being productive. And I've got a tip for that too. It's number 3, productivity. My productivity is my top method. I call it the move the needle daily practice. So what it entails is instead of doing all the minutia, all the little tasks on your task list, because crossing things off feel really good, but they don't necessarily move the needle towards your growth goals. Instead of that, identify the most important task. It's usually that big one that you're procrastinating on. The one thing. What's the one thing that's going to move me closer to my goal? And then time block that important thing. Put it on your calendar, block the time around it. And then protect that time block. Don't let anybody schedule over it, including yourself, and find a way to commit. Commit to getting started on the task. And commit to doing it before all the minutia. Now, I say that with a little caveat. Sometimes clearing the decks, getting some things that have been nagging on your mind, or that you just want to clear the brain space, you can't stop thinking about it. If you want to clear that off before you head into this deep work type of task, set yourself a time limit. Put your minutia in priority order and be okay that you didn't finish it all right there in that moment. That's how I do it. If I have a to-do list that I keep putting off the little things, I will schedule little clear the decks moments during my day. And that way I know that if I don't finish all the clearing the deck tasks in this session of Clear the Decks before I get into deep work, that's okay because I have another session coming up, or I have another session tomorrow where I'm going to clear the decks. So protect the time block of your deep work. And if that means getting some of the minutia done first, don't sweat it. But don't procrastinate all day long and leave yourself till 4:30 in the afternoon to get started on your deep work because your whole day was filled up with minutia. That's not the point. And then when you commit to getting started on it, get into your focus zone. Then enjoy the domino effect. That's what the lead domino is all about. Here's a pro tip. Sometimes feeling accomplished at work is self-care because it allows your mind to settle at the end of the day. My productivity hack, which I call the Move the Needle daily practice, can help with that. It's a mix of finding your lead domino a la Tim Ferriss. He didn't create the idea, but that's where I first heard it. And the power of writing down your goals, which improves your odds by 42%. And my focus right prioritization method, which is in the Move the Needle daily practice, will help you focus on the things that move the needle. So get your copy of the Move the Needle Daily Practice plus a one-pager daily planning cheat sheet as your free gift by visiting toriboats.com/daily. That's toriboats.com/DAILY. And now I would love to hear from you. So take a few deep breaths, grab a pen and paper or open a fresh doc, and then answer this question to discover which practice of prioritizing happiness will make the biggest difference for you. Number 1, what's one small part of nature that exists around you as you move throughout your day that you can use to make you smile? It may already make you smile. What's that one part of nature that exists around you as you move throughout the day that can make you smile? And number 2, what's one part of your day where you can make it a point to really pay attention to that piece of nature and let yourself be in that moment with a smile? If you feel called to, please share your answers in a comment below if you're on my YouTube channel at Tori Boats, or if you're listening to this as a podcast, send me a DM or come on over to toriboats.com and connect with me there. Your words could be the spark of inspiration that someone else is searching for. If this podcast inspires you in any way, I invite you to take this further. For every client I work with, whether it's one-on-one, a VIP day, or a long-term engagement, we use the Visionary Advantage system as the foundation. You can step right into using my system for yourself with a free gift from me to you by visiting toriboats.com/advantage. Inside, you'll find a new way of thinking about how you scale your business so you can continue to run at the highest level without missing out on life. Plus, simple steps so you can take immediate action right now. And if you have any questions, you can email them to me. So, before the next episode plays, go to toriboats.com/advantage.